Back in 2009, Floyd Mayweather shocked the world, coming out of a years-long retirement to fight none other than Juan Manuel Marquez. Marquez was one of the world's greatest boxers, a three-weight champion, and the pride of Mexico. Although no belt was on the line, the reputation of these two Goliaths of boxing was enough to send fans into a frenzy. The fight generated over 1 million buys, and it was easy to understand why. Mayweather had retired the undefeated pound-for-pound king of boxing, and his well-crafted, fluid style built around calculation and precision played a big part in that. He paired a Philly shell guard with a high guard, and was excellent at countering from either. He preferred to limit both his and his opponent's offensive options, so that he could bet on his superior smarts, reflexes, and timing to outscore them. Mayweather possessed perhaps the best timing and rhythm ever seen in the ring, and above all else, the ability to adapt and use his opponent's own strategy against them. He would need all of this and more if he hoped to get past Marquez. Over his long and impressive career, Dinamita had racked up 50 wins, 37 of them by knockout. His only losses had been at the hands of the great Manny Pacquiao, who Marquez maintained he had beaten and would years later knock out cold. Marquez tended to force opponents into long, brutal exchanges where both fighters were at risk, and one tiny mistake could bring dire consequences. He employed crafty head movement and unusual punching angles to find obscure, downright brilliant routes to his target. And while he was busy setting up the angles for his punches with his own head movement, he was also tracking his opponent's head movement with a mix of wide and super tight punches. Although Marquez would be going up near 10 pounds past the weight he was used to fighting, his crafty style and fast combinations would no doubt present a challenge to any boxer with 2 years of ring rust. What's more, on paper, Marquez's style seemed to be all wrong for the former champion. As much as Mayweather is painted as a safe boxer, he heavily utilized one of the riskiest moves, the body jab. This jab basically asks your opponent to crack your jaw by placing it within easy reach. One of the main concerns for the body jab is the lead uppercut, and Marquez was known for this punch. So it's not unreasonable to think that the two main concerns for Mayweather going into the fight would be Marquez timing his body jab or low crouch in general, or Marquez using his varied punching angles to break through Mayweather's Philly shell. But Mayweather shrugged all this off, saying, "I've been there 39 times. All 39 had a game plan. All 39 came up short." And when the night arrived, to the surprise of many, Floyd got aggressive right away. What's more, he immediately started piling on body jabs. Marquez tried to counter, but somehow he was missing every single time. To explain why, let's quickly listen to Tyson's coach, Customato, explain this position to Muhammad Ali.
See, same thing.
Bang! That's what I would do next.
Well, now, you knew what I was going to do, too.
No, well, I tried because I knew that I only left white areas you could hit me.
What about, first of all, when I did the shuffle, your move was here. Which left you open here?
No, that's what you
Then
said. Here's
it's
what I
back
did.
down.
No, wait, you're saying that.
I saw you.
I
That's what
did.
you did. That's what you
I
did.
was not open there. I never do that. Never do that.
So Mayweather of course knew there were only a few counters to this mostly closed off position, and it's always much easier to react if you know what's coming first. On top of these body jabs, Mayweather started blitzing out gazelle hooks. It seems that Mayweather's response to Marquez's toe-to-toe style was to fight fire with fire. But Mayweather's strategy went far beyond being randomly, recklessly aggressive. There was a lot more at play here. Notice that Mayweather sets up his body jabs and lead head hooks from the exact same starting position. Flaring out his arm like this was a necessary preparation for lead hooks, given the tucked-in Philly shell position Mayweather was fighting from. But by using it for both attacks, Mayweather turned a telegraphic liability into a clever trap. In the second, Marquez read Mayweather's preparatory motion as a cue to block a body jab. Instead, Mayweather's arm circled around and over Marquez's rear hand block to catch him flush. Marquez fell to the canvas. This was a major surprise for most everyone. However, for Marquez, this was almost a tradition, as he had gone on to get knocked down and then knock his opponent out several times. He was up right away, and now it was on Mayweather to finish the job. Mayweather went in for the kill, but ironically, this was to his detriment, as Marquez easily countered the more direct, telegraphed attacks. He gave jabs for jabs, and body hooks for lead hooks and crosses. It's truly fascinating that all it took was a tiny bit less nuance and preparation from Mayweather for Marquez to start dominating exchanges, even after being knocked down. But Floyd was back in form over the next several rounds, controlling the action with erratic timing, controlling positioning through brilliant grappling, and controlling the distance with well-placed jabs and footwork. However, Marquez was not just a warrior. He was an intelligent master of his craft, just like Floyd. So, he made two major adjustments. The first being to commit to long combinations, trying to catch Mayweather out of position. Marquez's varied angles and his ability to anticipate an opponent's head movement allowed him to land some nice power punches. Although, as always, it was difficult to catch Mayweather completely flush. In fact, the reason this tactic worked so well against Canelo and less well against Mayweather is that Mayweather always kept himself perfectly balanced and positioned, even at the tail end of long exchanges. The second adjustment Marquez made was to risk countering Mayweather's power punches with his own, even if he had to take one to give a harder one back. And this was working well enough to create the potential for a knockout. So although Mayweather was still racking up points with his jabs, Marquez seemed to be finding openings and was looking like he might be back in the fight by the fifth. But if Mayweather is one thing to his competitors, he is the killer of hopes and dreams. Perhaps realizing that his lead hook was now doing him just as much harm as good, Mayweather abandoned the punch that had scored him an early knockdown almost entirely. By the seventh, he had gone from throwing it around 10 times per round to 2 or 3. Instead, he switched to throwing his cross, using it both as a lead, like Ali, and as a draw and counter tactic, like Ali. And this punch was much harder for Marquez to counter, because while Mayweather's hook was a 2-beat punch that was only working because it was paired with a body jab, Mayweather's cross was 1 beat, much straighter and lightning fast. Further prepped for speed by Mayweather leaning his weight far forward, the cross was too quick for Marquez to intercept, and Mayweather was preventing any return counters by exiting with extreme angles. Shifting past the center line like Roy Jones Jr., or he could use grappling to shut Marquez down. By the 10th, Mayweather was practically walking Marquez down, even keeping his hands low to taunt and draw counters. Ever the warrior, Marquez went for broke in round 11. But Mayweather blocked most of the shots. And then landed nearly at will. In the very last round, Marquez caught Mayweather with some hard shots, showing that perhaps the potential for a victory had been there with the right game plan. But Mayweather always responded immediately to rack back up the points, more than evening out the scorecard. The bell sounded the end of the fight, and money took the decision, proving once again that he was perhaps the greatest mid-fight strategy ever to lace up gloves. If you'd like to learn more about the sweet science, you can check out my books on footwork, power, and defense, linked below. From the Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.